Morning everyone, and welcome to our little French dream and big journey. I feel as though I need to apologise. It's been a massive long delay since our last post. There has been some really good stuff happen and some really bad stuff. So it's going to be quite a long video that I'll probably split into several sections. I might even have to do it over 2 posts. I do apologise for the background. I am going to show you everything, so you will see it's not all as bad as this. But as we progress, you'll see what happens. So welcome if you are a new follower. Everybody is totally welcome. And if it's your first time, hello. My name is Sally Ann, and he is here. He is out in the garden working though. And we've got a gentleman helping us out the back today. So, what do we say to begin with? If I just run through a few events that happened before we moved. Unfortunately, 2 days before we did leave the UK, my dad died. It was expected, but it's still nevertheless a difficult thing to go through. And at the same time, my stepmom wasn't very well with her chemo. So it's a little bit tricky to try and concentrate on everything. So we did have to go back to the UK for Dad's funeral, which I'll go through as well, what we did, because we did a background of getting stuff. But yeah, it's quite difficult to deal with. As we go through the post as well, I will tell you about the costings of certain things that we've had to go through. There has been an awful lot of things that we've had to do. So I am going to start by showing you around the place. I'll probably dip in and dip out, and I've got oodles of notes to make sure I go through everything. But we did get the van hire that we talked about before we moved across. All in all, I think with the hire of the van, the insurances, we had to put a load of AdBlue, and I'm talking about 60 quid, and petrol. We probably spent about £1,500 on that. So it's still a lot cheaper than getting somebody to do it for you. So even though we had to come over a couple of days before, or start the journey a couple of days before, stay over at some friends, which we paid for because we were, visiting as a Ajit guest, it's still a lot cheaper than getting somebody to do it for you, and we had everything from day one. Okay, so I'll stop this and I'll take you outside and give you a tour and talk more. Oh, that is our house. This is the road leading up to it. That's one of our neighbours. He brought the house off the same person we did. And we have a neighbour just to where those bins are. And then we have a road behind parallel to these trees. So when we moved in, the first thing you do when you arrange your sign-in is you come to the house first. You check the water readings, you check the electricity readings, you check to make sure that nothing else on the house has gone boom. The first things that we had to do after these orange little things just here, I don't know if you can see it, it's so bright. These are what the Geometra put in. That marks out the boundary of your land. We've got another one there somewhere, but we didn't want to cover this with a fence because the farmer wants access to that field, so that's fine. And that's theirs. And then we put the fence in way forward to the boundary just to make it a lot easier. So one of the first things that we had to do was to put our boundary fence in. And as you can see, there has to be a gap between your fence and the neighbour's fence. You cannot remove those markers and you cannot go butt up to them. We also legally had to put one of the post box in. Okay, without that, you cannot get mail, but it's illegal not to. So that small little contraption was about €50. The fence posts, we brought 110, and they go all the way round, and obviously the fencing as well. I think the fence posts here were they were reasonably cheap, about €4 each. And the fencing that went all the way round was about 400. We also had to buy the gate. That was €280, very heavy. And then the posts to put them in. They were about €50 each, so again, not cheap. This log here was found in the barn. So when some friends came over, they all decided it would be a good idea to roll it out of the barn and put it up the front as a feature. I didn't argue. Anyway, here we are. At the moment, you might see and hear a bit of noise going on. We've got a lot going on. The garden itself is really uneven. At first, people didn't want to put a ride-on lawnmower over, but we did find somebody to do it. But in all fairness, he did have a John Deere. So he charged us €60 for about an hour's worth of work. Then we had a gardener who had a lawnmower. He decided it would be a good idea, bless him, to pull it rather than push it, because it was such hard work, and that took him all day to mow that bit of lawn. And this was after it was strewn by our friends that came over. So it was quite hard. Since then we have brought our own lawnmower, which is a self-propelled one, and the garden can now be done in about 2.5 hours max. So that's the front. Okay, the driveway goes up. All this driveway needs to be redone from that point of view. There's big dips, it holds water, and as we go through, and I'll talk through the septic tank report, that's confirmed that it's just not a great bit of land. There's a high water table here. Won't affect the use of the land up front, but will affect where we can put the septic tank. Sorry about that, a fly came too close. Okay, so we're going down the side of the house now. I'm not going to go into the cellar, not on this one, and we might do it a later date, or Andy might, but that is the cellar, and our first floor is there. And we've had some ground removed. Okay, so we do have the entry to the house there. That's the main house, but whoop, the bird came out. We decided not to use that. And this is a click-clack, which is what they call a sofa bed that we purchased today. It is second-hand, so it was only €40, but it does need a good clean. We also managed to get this table from a brocante. I think it was about £100 with 4 chairs. So heavy, too heavy to remove. Okay, so at the moment we're just getting ready to have some slabs put down. So I just wanted to get that pattern right. But we go in the kitchen. Our non-existent kitchen. Okay, boxes still everywhere. Our friend was very generous, gave us a dryer. Obviously it's never been used. We've got the outside chairs inside. We managed to get this dresser, let me pull out. When we first came here, when we had the hire van, it allowed us to go and get some stuff. Okay, that is now in the way, it's moved again. Bear with. Oh. Okay, it might just have to be one of those things. Okay, 2 seconds. Sorry about that, I had to take that off. I didn't realise that it wasn't working properly, it was in the way. Okay, so this is the kitchen. So while we had the van hire for a couple of days, when we first moved in, we decided to make use of it. So we went and got this unit that was on Facebook, and that was back in Cairn, so it's about an hour away. Then we went to a place called Avalanche, which is an hour the other way, and brought the fridge freezer. We also got a couple of other things. But again, at the moment we haven't started this. We've got the microwave. Look, dinner's on. Okay. This is the bathroom. The bathroom is downstairs and the new washer is there. They seem to have them in there. That will be moved. Livable. Doable while we do the rest. Nice. No. Practical. Yes. Going to start work on this next week. Okay. Then as we come upstairs, and using the door here, by the way, is very easy for shopping. So we go upstairs into the living room. I'll put some pictures on because this has changed quite a lot from when we first moved in. A little bit untidy, but again, forgive us for that. But as you can see, the walls have been painted, lights have been put up. Lights aren't cheap here and they're very limited, so you don't have a lot of choice. Curtain poles aren't too bad. They were €20 each, but I think that basic light was 55. Paint is mega expensive. This paint, because we didn't have enough, was €49 for one small tub, 2 litres. So it just managed to do 2 coats, and it was very thick. Okay, so as you can see, the living room. Let me just show you this. Again, I'll put a post in. Storage was a toilet. So we had a toilet at the back there and the sink here. Not good. You could sit on the toilet and speak to somebody at the door, I suppose. Dining room, again, I'll put some pictures on, but all this was plasterboard. So we do need that. These are the new units that are going to go in the bathroom. So we decided to put them up the other day, or at least Andy did. He wanted something to do. Okay, I'll just show you out back. A lot of work to be done. That tree's coming out today. Okay, the stairs, the paint, I must say, has been terrible as well. We brought some of our own gloss, and that's fine. I ran out, so we brought some here. Whereas I painted stuff 3 times with ours, it's had 5 coats so far with theirs. This will be the little room, so to speak. Again, stuff all over, but you know, posters got to be done. 2 beds. Beds here are not cheap. Not at all. The 2 single beds were on offer at £200 each, and the mattresses were on offer at £100 each. The little unit there was one of mahogany off Facebook. I think it was about €20, so we just painted that. Again, the walls have been stripped, wallpapered. Okay, interestingly, wardrobes, IKEA. You can add on €100 to what they are in the UK. So you still pay £60 on delivery, but you pay £100 more. Okay. So, main bedroom, again, could have done with the tidy. The view out, okay, it is lovely. IKEA wardrobe, that was £400. In the UK it would have been £3. Sofa was ours, so that's okay. So this bed was £500, and I think the mattress was £300. We managed to pick up a second-hand dresser. Again, that needed repainting. That was only €20 though. And the 2 side tables, they needed repainting. They were cherry, so they've been sanded down and painted. The lamps were free. A friend gave us them, so we just had to buy lampshades. Incredibly difficult to find. And the doors, they all needed done. So that's the house. Okay, so on the day of signing, you may have heard me say that you meet the buyers here with the estate agent. That's to check over the house, which is really important if the house has been unoccupied. You take the meter reads from the water, which is outside, the water well, and the linking, I forgot what it's called then, the linking meter. What I would say to anybody who is moving, make sure you phone your electricity supplier on the day that you move in before 5 o'clock. We were busy unloading, all those kind of things as you normally do after all the day's been done. And suddenly I checked my emails, just, looking at the way things were. One popped up, you need to call EDF before the end of the day. I think it was 9 o'clock. Otherwise you might get cut off tomorrow. Well, it was late. I did call the English-speaking EDF line, wasn't open. Sure enough, the next day you don't get cut off, you get reduced. So what I'm saying by reduced is you have lights, but you don't have kettle, you don't have cooker. So it took us 6 hours and about 80 more euros to get put on in emergency fees, and it was freezing. You could see your breath. So yeah, I would say that that is a must for anybody. Okay, so yeah, on the day that you come in, you make those meter reads from that point of view, make notes, and then you go to the notary's office. Before you go to the notary's office, a couple of days before, you transfer all the money. So the money is paid up front. So the money is paid up front, you meet them, you go through the documents. I think it's about 2 hours for us this time. We'd already gone through 160 odd pages the first time, so it was making sure that everything was okay. The additional things that we'd needed to go through, such as the spank report, which we already knew was a non-conform on the Fosse Septique. Not because there's anything wrong with it, it's just that it now drains into somebody else's land, whereas previously it was all one part, it was all one land, so it wasn't an issue. So we do go through that. We came back, we unloaded as much as we can, it all went down in the kitchen, some went up in the living room. We just literally wanted to unload everything and find somewhere to sleep. By that, it was in here, so I'll put a picture up at Airbeds for a couple of days, not the best. And it was freezing, so it's a good job the electric heaters worked. And we also needed to find out how the ballon worked, which is the water tank. That's in the cellar. We know that we've got a problem with that because it needs to be on permanently, so that's not ideal. But again, at the moment it works, so that's great. Just looking at my notes, oh yes, something to eat. I think we had some bizarre concoction the first night of whatever we could do. Might have even been pot noodles as well. We hadn't tried. There is like a vending machine for pizzas, but we haven't tried that because obviously we didn't know anything at the time. So we spent the first couple of days finding our feet, finding where the local petrol station is, because there was a strike on as well, so diesel was very hard to find. Finding the local shops, the local DIY stores, everything seems to be, well, no, I was going to say 30 minutes away. The major towns, Fleur, Veer, they seem to be 30 minutes away. We can get like a local supermarket shop 10 minutes away, but it's the equivalent of a Tesco's Metro. So again, it's doable from that point of view, not bad. And we had to deal with more EDF issues when we set the contract up and they put us back on. They didn't take the details right, so there was a problem in doing that. Like I say, it wasn't the best of times. We also used the van, like I say, to go around different places, start checking out Facebook, join different groups. I think the dresser was about 150 euros. So we did that. We've got the Hoover, we've got a new ironing board, all those kind of things. And obviously cleaning. Clean, clean and clean.